We want a video here from Waterworks Economics. Done a lot of exercise videos on this channel, but wanted to do, of course, this is an economics channel. Of exercise to me is economics. Anyhow, I live in Tokyo about half the year, and I live about half the year in Vancouver. And I wanted to talk about my experience with the Tokyo real estate bear market for 30 years, and how it applies to Vancouver. And this is the outline I made here, and it starts like this. What if the Vancouver real estate market goes sideways for 10 years? So we know that the Vancouver real estate, or the Canadian real estate bull market, mostly Vancouver, I'm going to try to contain the discussion here, went up for about 20 years. Okay, Vancouver had, it says here, an extraordinary 20-year run-up. That was a really extraordinary run-up. And I should preface this by saying this apartment that I'm in here in downtown Vancouver, I own it outright, and I bought it right in the middle of this 20-year run, right smack in the middle of it. Vancouver real estate had roughly 2 decades of extraordinary appreciation, even though there's always corrections along the way. And the question is, people talk about like this Vancouver crash. The bears have been talking about a Vancouver crash for so long. But I think a better question is, after a 20-year bull market run, is it possible to have a 7 to 10 years sideways movement? And I think this is what I don't know. I don't predict stuff. I think a crash is possible, but I also think that one of these long drawn out sideways markets is very, very possible as well. And in these sort of sideways markets, this is where everyone loses. Okay, like it just like the bears didn't get what they want, the bulls didn't get what they want, and it's just sort of like a long period of pain. And this is kind of what we had in Tokyo for the most part. Now, what is that? I'm not predicting that Vancouver will go sideways, but simply the experience in Tokyo taught me that, yeah, it's absolutely possible. The market is generally weak now. Even the unit across the hall has been sale for a year. I've thought about buying it, but I just know how weak the market is, and I know how it can just totally keep grinding down further, because I've been through this experience in Tokyo, and it just keeps getting. It doesn't really drop. It just goes like this, up and down like a little bit. I think you might be hopeful that it's going to drop more, but it just doesn't. It just keeps grinding sideways, and psychologically it's probably actually more devastating in a way. A weak market doesn't necessarily resolve itself quickly. It just doesn't. And in Tokyo, the weak market went from about the early 90s really until about 2015. So it went for 25 years, or 20 to 25 years. No, it kind of started to turn around about 2010, but it didn't turn around like this. It just went like, so I don't know. But what happens in the middle point too, there's a little catch up, like wages, like there's going to be inflation. Let's say there's inflation in the economy, right? You have more wage inflation, or people's balance sheets get better, or people who are good at saving money have saved a little bit more money, and then they can go into the market and get something because the valuations just get better relative to everyone's sort of situation. That's what happened in Tokyo. And then at one point in Vancouver, like what happened in the sideways market, the numbers will begin to make sense again, and that's what'll bring you out of it. But I've been through it all. The market doesn't necessarily crash. Yeah, this is really hard. Okay, let's go to this third point. Markets, yeah, this is really neat. Like, markets don't owe you a recovery. Here in the North American space, we have we've had like a really good, like even with the S&P 500 since about 1999, we've had it run for about 26, 27 years. And what if it just now goes sideways for the next 10 to 15 years? It's very, very possible. And I've just seen it happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I've seen it happen, and I've seen the psychology. And the psychology of the sideways market is devastating, because there's no winners or losers until about the last little bit of the end of it, when people start to participate in a little bit more, because the numbers make more sense. People tend to imagine markets boom, or there's going to be a correction, or the interest rate cuts. Yeah, we're still in Japan right now. The reason the yen is weak and they're so reluctant to up it is because we were in minus interest rates. Like, what are we at the Bank of Japan right now? Finally, after we're finally recovering after, like, since the bear market started in 1990. We're coming out of our bear market now with interest rates at 1% in 2026. That's a total of 36 years. Like, damn, man, when I was in Tokyo, I was a young man. Now, like, I'm going to be 60 years old, man. It's unbelievable. Okay. A recovery, new highs, but markets don't have to follow this sequence, and that's what the long grind is, man. And we saw that in Tokyo. But the Tokyo real estate market really right now, if you didn't know, is really, really hot. It's unbelievable. It's on fire. But it's so much on fire, there's a lot of problems with it as well, because you can't bring on new supply because it's all too expensive. It's really, really tricky. You have to go to my other channel, the Tokyo Real Estate Man channel. The property market can fall somewhat, then do almost nothing for years. This is totally what happened. This is totally what happened in Tokyo. There is no law saying that because prices went down, they must come back soon. They just keep grinding sideways, and you keep looking for hints in the market whether there's going to be a recovery or there's going to be a crash, and it just goes neither way. Look at that one guy on the Facebook group in Vancouver. He's had a bear group for near 15, 20 years now. Bill Ferguson. Guy's still wrong. He's been wrong. The market totally went up. He's saying it's going to crash, and now it's sort of the market in Vancouver is weak, but it still hasn't crashed, and he's still wrong. Okay, so both people are sort of wrong. And then you get on to the real estate pages and you see them, oh, we're seeing green shoots. There's activity there's always going to be some activity, like in the market, right? But the real estate agents, and they're hurting. They're totally hurting. The real estate agents in Tokyo during the last decade, it was a non-business. And that's actually a good reason to get into the market at one point. I'm not saying that's now, because I think that, I don't know, like the Vancouver market could keep grinding down, right? And inflation keeps going up. So relative to inflation, the place that you bought might be worth it. Okay, the most fascinating market, everybody, this is what the most fascinating market, everybody gets screwed. That's the point. This is one of the most interesting things about a prolonged sideways market. The bulls don't win. I just talked about this. But the bears don't win either. Bill Ferguson, he's still wrong. He's still on the sidelines. Right? He's still renting. And even in these sort of sideways markets, I think you're better to own, because it's better than renting. And then slowly your balance sheet gets strong over time. So if you're productive in deflationary markets, in terms of if you have your own company, right, or it doesn't have to be a company. Let's say you run your family like a company, right? And during deflationary times or sideways time, you're good at your job. You do your job. You save your money. You're productive in that way, and your balance sheet keeps getting better every month. Over time, you're in a really good position. So actually, the bears sometimes are in a weaker position, really. So it's better to be on the bull side, but realize that no one's going to rescue you, that you still have to be productive. And we'll get to some of the things that you can do that'll make you productive over time. They expected appreciation to allow them to refinance, sell, or move up the property ladder. Yeah, this is the one you can never get. Move up the property ladder. You just got to kind of like, you're stuck. So you really have to, like, that's the one thing about this sort of sideways market is it really comes down, like it really can deflate the whole, like your mindset. Like, because you have these, maybe you had these during the bull, you had these ideas that you're going to trade up a couple times to get into that dream house that you wanted, but it never really came. So you just have to keep lowering your expectations over time. Yeah, it just happens. But prior to this last 50 years in the world, a lot of people lived like families live commonly in smaller spaces. So you're just going back to a way that people lived really for centuries and centuries. Okay, let's keep going here. This is funny as for myself as I keep going down. Instead, they're sitting in the same property year after year, waiting for the market to right. Yeah, it's just not going to come. Eventually, it will, because if you're productive, your balance sheet gets better over time. But the bears don't get what they want either. This is the key. They don't get it. They don't get it. And Bill Ferguson is the perfect. I use Bill Ferguson. I can also use form a fist. It's just totally wrong over time. The bears who call for because the government, right? The government is basically owned by the financial industrial complex. Simon Dixon gets into that, right? So they will always. There was a recently here in Vancouver, like or BC, like a condo bailout, right? So there will always be like sort of programs to help the banks, right, along the way, and that sort of holds the sort of crash off and stuff like that. And the bears over time are the ones who really get screwed. But if you're productive, you're good. But you could come back at me too and say that the rental market right now might be stronger as well. I don't know. I think rents here in downtown Vancouver for this apartment that I live in would be about $2,500 a month, and my management fees are about $300 a month in this building, and then I have property taxes. So, and I have it totally paid off here, so I can live in Vancouver for about $1,000 a month, including everything. So I think my balance sheet just keeps getting stronger over time, even if it's not going to go up. I know I'm okay because my balance sheet is strong. They're waiting for this enormous crash and never comes. They're waiting for a once-in-a-generation buying opportunity. And that's actually not what happened in Tokyo. Tokyo just kicked along, I guess it went down, and it just continued to grind out and kick along the bottom for years. But there's always opportunities because the market, there's always sellers, right, who need to sell. There's an event. So if you pay attention to the market every day, there's that's one thing, like, because I sell and buy cars, and if you look at the car market every day, there's deals that come up. So, but you have to monitor it closely. It takes a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun if you want to make it your life mission as well. But that moment never quite arrives. It just never does. Prices fall somewhat, and they just drift sideways. So you never get what you want. And I think that's really accurate about the market. How you just never get what you want. I had a buyer for a car the other day. She was interested in a car, and I thought that she was going to get it. But you know what? She didn't get it. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use this car for a month, and I have another container coming, and I'll have to lower the price. So it just happened to me as well. This is the kind of things that happen in sideways markets. But like the car that I bought, I made a good buy on it. And I'm productive about how I run my car operation because I do a lot of the work myself. And I'll always be okay. I'll be able to get a profit out of this car. I won't be able to get as much as I wanted. But that's kind of what sideways markets do. And car markets are really sideways markets like that too, right? They just don't really pop up like that. Real estate markets pop up like more. They can run into like more than cars. Cars are more sideways markets like that. So, but if you're productive, you can still get ahead. Okay, here we go. The bulls wait for the boom. The bears wait for the crash. The market gives neither side what it wants. I love that. That's kind of what happens. Okay, sideways markets are psychologically exhausting. Yeah. They really are. Yeah, especially I think for North America right now because the market has really run up for 30 years and then no one's really The people that are probably investing the most in this market right now must be, I mean, my 50s, right? So the people that are in their 40s, the people that probably make the most relative in the society, the 40, well, it'll be the 40 and 50-year-old people are going to be making the most right now, right? But they've had a really good run for the last 30 years, right? So like maybe, however, like it depends on there's always like a sector right now, a defensive sector that might be good, that has dividends, right? And then you can still put money into stuff that's gonna, you just don't expect to have appreciation during that 10-year period, right? And then you have to go back to dividends, or you have to go back to cash flow, or you have to go back to rents, and you have to go back to your productivity. So if you own a unit, and then when the people move out, you can't have the cleaning company come and clean it up. No, you got to clean it yourself. And along the way, you got to learn to repair it. You've got to learn to fix things. Changing a toilet, okay, for example, is not, I'm pointing here in my washroom, right? It's not a difficult job. I guess in Vancouver you can't really do wiring because it has to be like passed by. You can do a lot of work yourself that you have to sort of learn how to do it. Okay, sideways markets are psychologically exhausting. A crash gives people an event, something that happens. I think it's kind of like a movie, a crash or something like that. I guess we kind of had a crash in 2008, but maybe this one's going to be different because it never sort of repeats itself, right? This one could be long one, right? But like if you're productive, you have a really profitable company, a long one's good because then you can pick up more properties during the sort of during that whole flat time like that, because eventually it will correct. Like even right now, like Tokyo, the real estate market is raging, and like every quarter now I could do my numbers and I end up richer because I bought during all those flat years. So anyhow, prices collapse, people react, markets eventually reset. They just take time though. It'll grind you out. So one of the things that I talk about on this channel is staying lean and healthy, right? That's really a product of the Tokyo deflation. So since it's never going to be bailed out with appreciation, one of the things I always had to do is to stay lean and mean, right? And that's not only my company, right, but that's my body as well. So just really reflective of a whole sort of mindset when you're used to like deflate. That's not even deflating. Well, deflation can be like that. Deflation doesn't have to be like this creep downwards. It's just going to be this grind sideways where you're thinking you're going to have some help, and it just never comes. Okay. Every spring. Okay, what is it? Years of false starts. Yeah, like this is the realtors love this one because in the spring, people have to move because their company moves them, and then there's an uptick in the market. In Japan too, because families, the father gets transferred and they look for housing. There's always an uptick in the spring market, especially in Tokyo, right? But you can look at that as a hint. Oh, the market is turning around, and it doesn't turn around; it keeps grinding sideways. And then what happens? There just becomes a point where there's just no hope. There's just absolutely like no hope at all, and but then the numbers start to make sense, and then people start accumulating for numbers. But the numbers, I don't know, it depends on your situation, right? So if you can actually accumulate more in the front to middle years, and then when you because you know it's going to be sideways, and then you're sitting on this time bomb when that sort of phase ends. Let's say it's 2026. Let's say this phase here in Vancouver lasts until 2036. I don't know, or it starts coming out of it in 2034, but it doesn't come out like in a boom. It comes out like kind of flat, like that green shoots. The American central bankers, there's green shoots, right? What if the green shoots don't come for the next 8 or 9 years? It's very possible. And I've just been through it. So what are the things you can do? It's kind of like, I'll stay always like on the channel, to go to the pool and then stay lean and mean, which is like prepare for deflation. And I've talked about it in the fitness videos here on the channel. Okay. This is what I saw in Tokyo. There is no catharsis. There is just adoption. That's really, it just keeps going. But eventually, like right now, I'm in Tokyo. It's unbelievable. the valuations that I had. So cool. You may be trapped in a property you already own. This is totally you're just trapped in it, right? You're stuck in. I ran into this person at the pool yesterday. He's from Korea, and his daughter, she owns a 1-bedroom condominium right here. And then I guess she's a single mother, and she's having a baby, and they wanted to get a 2-bedroom condo, but they think that they would have to sell at a loss. And I just told them, well, you have to raise the child in the 1-bedroom condominium. This is what happened to a lot of families in Tokyo during a run like this. You just have to accept it. You can't necessarily move up to your dream house, or if you do, you have to grind out. You have to grind it out, right? You can't move up this property like your dream ladder. This doesn't work. It just gets all. It's all like adoption. It's where you just have to adopt, right? But let's say it's a 700-foot 1-bedroom condominium. I don't know, like Grant in Tokyo, families raise they live in condominiums like that. They raise their families in it. So that's just like a reality that I'm sort of already used to. Okay, and maybe that reality is coming here to Vancouver. It just could be coming. So people assume that appreciation will help them move from like this whole thing, this step up ladder just could not work. I could be wrong too. Like maybe the government will kick up some immigration here, and then maybe it'll sort of change. I don't know. I don't have the fingers on the levers of the Bank of Canada or the Ministry of Finance. Okay, but yeah, maybe this ladder. I would prepare for it not to possibly work. Adoption. Adopt. Okay. Maybe you aren't getting the 3-bedroom house. Maybe this 2-bedroom apartment is your home for the next 10 years. Not terrible. That's why the 2-bedroom unit is such a really good unit, right? It's just a really good unit. And I could think back to, I grew up in the 80s and 70s in Canada, and I never had my own room. I shared it with my brothers. So it's just adoption. Adoption. That can be difficult. Yeah, so it's really, that's the psychological thing that really comes down on you. So yeah. Cash flow becomes more important than the price chart. Yeah, I talked about it. And over time, this cash flow is what'll end or in Tokyo, the cash flow is what ends the long period when the numbers really start to make sense. And everyone's balance sheet also over time gets a lot stronger. That's another thing that happens. And this was what did I say here? This is where my personal experience in Tokyo becomes important. I survived Tokyo's long, weak real estate because property values work economically. The rent came in, the mortgages were paid, the units were maintained. I continued working. See what I talked about? This is the productivity model. Is that you have to, you become this efficient, like, it's like walking in the pool, like I talked in the other videos in this on this channel. When you walk in the pool, you're in a really efficient environment. So when you make yourself really efficient like that, it's really difficult to be you. Nihongo, we say the word muteki. You really become almost like untouchable, or you have no enemy. That means no enemies. There's no one can really get you. Untouchable. I didn't need the market to rescue me. You don't want the market to rescue you anyway, because you're trying to use this period to accumulate more assets, because at one point you know that it will turn around and go up, and that's the stage that I'm in here finally in the second half of my life, granted, okay, but that's kind of what happens. But when you're productive, you'll be totally fine with it, and you can even get a couple of more units or 2 or 3 more units along the way, because the numbers will really make a lot of sense. If my property doesn't appreciate for 10 years, can I still carry it comfortably? Okay, this is a question every owner should ask. Yeah, but if you're into it, you have to. You can't really get out of it, because you'll sell it at a loss. And you don't want to sell it at a loss. That's where, like Warren Buffett, I think that he is really an operator that really operates really close to the government. But one thing he says that makes a lot of sense is don't take a loss. I don't know, you can take a loss, I guess, if you have a lot of income coming in, because you can offset it. But if you can, don't take a loss. And that's where I don't think the bears are right either, because they're still paying rent every month, and you're deleveraging every month as an owner. Okay, here we go. Here we go. When appreciation disappears, the boring things become more important: income, mortgage payment, property taxes, strata fees, repairs, maintenance. You can say house hacking. Maybe you have to bring in a roommate, and savings very important, right? That'll help. Yeah, and then, but over time, when you're disciplined, and other things that you can't drink alcohol, you can't do drugs. You have to like be really, really productive in terms of your life, and then you'll come out of it. In a stagnant market, cash flow matters. It really does. Bring your skills to bear. This is a really important point. If you can't simply sell your property and move, you need to learn how to improve your position you're already in. Okay, one of this is ways is like learning to do repairs yourself, and it's never been easier. You can get on here, watch a YouTube video how to fix something, and you can fix it, or paint something, or change a toilet, change a sink, redo a counter. You have to learn to do that kind of stuff over time. You have to learn to be handy, and and plus you're picking up more units during this entire time, right? So then you're becoming a real estate company. You want to have your company go from you're doing this as a computer programmer. You want to end up being an asset company. You don't want to end up being a computer programmer. You want to end up being the manager of your asset company, and the asset company knows how to do construction, for example, in real estate, as it were. So you want to move that. You want always your company or your family business to be in quality assets. Anyhow, learn how to replace the toilet. Learn basic painting and maintenance, of course. Cleaning is always good. Understand doors, understand flooring. This is a little bit tricky because you want to do a good job on your floor, but flooring is really not all that difficult. And you can use, if you're not good with a hammer, there's techniques that you can use. Like I drilled some floors where I used I pre-drilled all the holes because I'm not very good at hammering, and then I pre-drilled all the holes, and then I was able to use the impact drill to help me do all my flooring and stuff like that. So there's little cheats a way you can get around it though too. Understand appliances, that's good. You don't have to become a professional contractor, but you do need to understand but the more you understand, the less helpless you are. That's a really good point. Yeah, sometimes you need help, and sometimes you want to do a better quality job than you can do yourself, so you need help. I get it, okay. Being stuck doesn't have to mean being in prison. This is a really part of the psychological part of it. Perhaps you're expected a bigger house. Perhaps you expected to move up. Perhaps you thought the equity in your apartment would finance your next step. Sideways market's not going to happen. Okay, and perhaps it doesn't happen. Then what? You fix it, improve what you have, just live with what you have. You have to develop other income streams, always possible. I worked in the Japanese wedding business for many years while I was putting together my real estate portfolio, and that was so I could work on Saturdays and Sundays. I was a B-level model, even C-level model. You have the A-level models who are in like the Fashion Week and the big fashion names, okay? I was a B and C level model in the more shit jobs, okay, so I could have more income. That's just an example. Okay, acquire useful skills. I learned how to understand the investing mindset during these years. Okay, manage your cash flow. That's really, really important. Simplify. This is really the key, to simplify your expectations in it, and that way, if you just simplify your expectations, right, you're just gonna be fine in life, right? Stagnant asset does not require a stagnant life. Exactly. Okay. People continued living during this whole time in Japan during it wasn't a lost decade. If you look, there's a really interesting video during the lost decade in Yokohama. They built Minato Mirai, and if you go to Yokohama right now and you were to look at Minato Mirai, it's unbelievable just redevelopment that was done totally during the lost decade. So it can be a really productive time for you. Deflation can be just a wonderful time for productive people. For lazy people, deflation, you in trouble. Okay, but if you're not lazy and you're productive, deflation, man, nonka muteki. It's really, really powerful. And then and you come out. What happens is, like my company, you come out of deflation, like my company, you're just so strong. Nothing could take you down because you had no appreciation. So all you had to do the whole time is to become more efficient, become better at this, become better at this, become better at this. And then you just become, and your cash position gets better, and your financing position, you finance things for 10 years. So it's, if you want to pay off that loan, you can pay it off, or you can get it. So you can then use this apartment then to buy another one because your cash position has improved for 10 years. So you can come out of deflation so strong. So and this is another thing though too, right? Like this is exactly what happened here. Like people improved their homes, or like the neighborhoods continued evolving. This is what happened in Minato Mirai. I have an apartment in Ohashi, which is just west of Shibuya, and that neighborhood just kept getting better during the lost decade. So the apartment that I bought there, let's say I bought it 30 years ago. I think I did buy it 30 years ago. Compared to the neighborhood it was 30 years ago, you should see it now. It's amazing. There's beautiful cafes everywhere. Everything can still kind of improve during that time. Okay, so you can't look at your apartment like it's going to be stagnant in a way, because the area might be getting better itself. Life continued even while the property market remained weak. There you go. My lesson from Tokyo: adapt to the environment. Yeah, you just have to adapt. And then, like I just said, over time in deflation or like flat markets, you just get really strong. Okay, I want to be clear. I don't know whether Vancouver will stay sideways for 10 years. I really don't. Okay, I could be. I'm always wrong. Tokyo real estate, man. But the reason I bring it up here is it's a possibility. Okay, there could be a possibility that they kick up immigration and this downturn ends a little bit sooner. But it's also could be the financial system does not mind this grinding out, because during this entire period, they will be picking up the assets, okay, when it grinds sideways. They'll just because they have productive businesses. Like I look out at the Royal Bank building right next door, right? They have a production business, okay, that basically rapes people in Canada of their money, right? They would take this money and then pick up more assets over this sort of flat period. So like that's exactly what they're going to do. So you could just have to operate like they operate. Okay, here we go. I could completely be wrong. I doubt I'm wrong on this one. But because what happens, so it's so perfect about this one, that the financial institutions is both sides get screwed, and they want to screw everyone, okay, because they already have all the power. Okay, Vancouver is not Tokyo, but I lived through thank God Vancouver is not Tokyo. It's just not Tokyo. You hear Vancouver, that people say that it's like Tokyo. It's not. It's not. Vancouver, world-class center. Okay. But I lived through a real estate market that remained weak for much longer than most people thought possible. I just kept going. But now it's just it's totally different. The psychology in Tokyo is totally different now. Okay, and what I learned from this, sometimes markets don't rescue the bulls, and it doesn't reward the bears either. And I think the bears are the bigger chickens on this one, and I'm not meaning to piss people off, right? The bulls, you took a position, but you're where the bulls sometimes have a big ego too, right? Because they're thinking, I'm going to be bailed out by this. I move up the ladder, so psychologically they get smacked. But so do both sides just psychologically get smacked. Look at this guy, Bill Ferguson. He's been wrong for 15 years, and you know what? He's still wrong. There's no crash. He calls his site the Vancouver Real Estate Crash or something on Facebook. He's rude to people who have any sort of opinion that's contrary to that, like mine, like saying, you could be wrong. It could be like a long drawn out. He's like, no, it's crashing. And I don't know. I think it just could be like just bad for both. You simply have to become productive inside the position you already have. That's, I had been talking about this the second half of the video. That's the real lesson. This isn't really a prediction about Vancouver real estate. I never make predictions, but I do prepare for the worst case scenario. It is a lesson about adaptation or alignment. You just gotta align your whatever you're doing with what the go with the flow. That's another one. Go with the flow. You just gotta go with the flow. What do you do when the economic environment refuses to give anyone the outcomes they expected? You adapt, you become productive, you improve what you already have, and you keep moving forward. And that's exactly what happened in Tokyo. Anyway, this is not a Tokyo Real Estate Man video. It's a video here from Waterworks Economics. And Waterworks Economics is really important because what does the pool do? It does all these sort of things to you. It just makes you really, really efficient. But if you're in the pool, don't forget, okay, your Vaseline, man. You need to, because you're swimming in that pool every day, you need to grease up that body from all that chlorine that you're going to get. Anyways, another video here from Waterworks Economics, a Tokyo Real Estate Man. いつもこのチャンネル見てる皆様、本当にありがとうございます。今日の動画、もう終わりです。以上、finished。ありがとうございます。終わりです。